The Zambian agriculture story is dominated by one major crop, maize. In view of the over-concentration on this particular crop, diversification is being promoted in the sector. Thank you so much for joining us. A warm welcome to this week's presentation of News in Depth. My name is Pennipher Nyirenda. Today on the program, join me as I look at the legume seed sector and the opportunities for economic development through value addition. I'll also be looking at the practice of seed recycling amongst farmers who grow legumes. Stay tuned to this week's program. A simple technology deployed to churn out smooth peanut butter. Noah not only makes the peanut butter, but the machines he is using as well. He has been at it for close to 10 years.
First is ogasha nshawa zantwiro. Then inabona gulako ka machine ka ku Zimbabwe keze ka domestic. So naona mameneka pangira naona ta kanta isa time. Ndipo mimi nasha discover neka no yambo panga nagula chimota chikuru.
Noah knows very well that his business, which is being conducted in Lusaka's Mtendere market, is of benefit to many, including the farmer who supplied the groundnuts, his primary raw material.
Next I encourage you and shower many farmers awa da waso wakogulisa the wanda mwameni pangira machine futi nipanga business kuli wajo meni bankala chabe na wewe niwasha encourage tu akazigula machines benango ezogula ku Zimbabwe but apa manje mno Zambia na mwe nipanga.
Noah's business validates the reason why legumes remain a common feature in the agriculture sector. They have been used for various purposes for hundreds of years. An estimated 19,500 crop varieties form part of the legume family. The Cambridge Dictionary describes a legume as a plant that has seeds in a pod. These crops have been found to be useful both for consumption and industry. An example of this is in dyes such as indigo, which are derived from legumes like indigo fera and hematoxylon, while the brown dye comes from a species home to India. Further, legumes can be used in the production of insecticides, while a few have been found to have medicinal value. There is one common denominator in the use of legumes world over, which is food for mankind.
Legumes play a very vital role in nutrition. As you know, they are a very high source of protein. And also they have other advantages in that they also improve the soil quality. So legumes actually are a wonder crop, if you can call it that.
Much as these crops are widely grown, legumes are described as orphaned crops in Zambia.
In the seed systems, we even classify legumes as orphan crops. These are orphan crops because they are usually neglected while they are very important. You know, sometimes when you are an orphan, they'll throw you somewhere, but when they need you, they'll call you.
We like to think that the legumes are really neglected because with the focus on maize, then there's other crops like wheat and all those that take precedence over beans, and but also at local level, at community level, you see that beans is often left as a crop for women, beans and groundnuts.
The orphan tag is not too surprising because Zambian farming activities are dominated by maize, a cereal crop attracting large investments. It is believed that few commercial farmers see commercial value in leguminous crops. However, some farmers credit their success in farming to legumes. This is the case for Samson Tembo, who attests an improvement in his well-being with a house to his name.
tikazolika mu milisi ayi machita bwino kwambiri ti nthawi zinango fertilizer timathawa pamomba tiara imaleta manyowa mbewu zake so tina phindu paviri ponse kuti kutukula ziko yaso niseka tevine asachita ulesi asati chinthu chuvuta koma nkulowa nacho kuti chitipase phindu so nupempha kuti abantu otimverera pano kuti nawo balomema mkutu necha tichitire pamozi aone langane phindu agula mu ng'ombe na kujako ng'anda ioneka bwino panga 5 room yang'anda.
So I think in our
Unfortunately, little or no attention is paid to discussions surrounding the value of legumes, with farmers merely clinging on to the basic information hinging on soil nutrition retention.
When farmers grow legumes, the benefits are main because you find that the crops which we give our farmers, they improve the soil fertility. Unlike these cereal crops, so when they grow like soybean, they crop rotate with our crops like cowpea. You find that the yields, they improve the yields by rotating the cereals with our crops like legumes like cowpea, soybean, and groundnuts.
Unlike other seed types, soybean has been seen to be widely grown and processed.
In the last 10 or so years, somewhere there, we've seen a steep increase in terms of soybean production in general, in terms of the volumes produced in Zambia. For instance, last year, we saw, a 100-fold, increase in terms of the percentage in terms of production in that soybean accounted for in the country. There was a significant jump, One of the other things that has contributed partly to that is, like I said, there's availability of market within the country.
Legumes are predominantly silent among commercial players in the Zambian agriculture sector, thereby making the small-scale farmer the major custodian of leguminous crops.
It's very, very correct that there are more small-scale farmers in the legume subsector than large-scale farmers. The small-scale farmers are in it because actually they are also using it as food.
Women also dominate the production of legumes for reasons inclined to food security at household level.
You know that most of the legumes have been under the hands of the women because it's for food security. But we have observed in our country that the moment the legume has high value, like soybeans, us men take over. That's what happens. But as far as, apart from soybeans, the beans and the groundnuts are still largely in the domain of our women folk who are producing it. But where they have seen that it has money, like in the Eastern Province, the groundnuts has money, they have gone into it full-fledged and they're producing quite large quantities.
The low numbers of farmers taking part in the production of legumes has had a negative effect on volumes. But that is not the only problem. A practice that haunts the legume seed sector not only in Zambia, but other parts of Africa and the world, is recycling. Interestingly, the recycling problem is permanent even when Zambia is a net seed exporter, producing around 80,000 metric tons of seed annually. Recycling is of concern to industry players.
Most of the farmers in Zambia recycle the seed. So what they do is that, they'll grow the crop this year. The next year, they'll just get the seed that they harvested from the previous crop and use it as seed. And by doing so, they're actually just propagating those diseases. So those diseases tend to reduce now the productivity of common bean.
The Zambia Agriculture Research Institute, ZARI, is cognizant of the challenges recycling poses on productivity. Senior Research Officer Graybill Munkombwe outlines the impact.
When you have bought the seed, the certified seed, quality seed, when you have bought it, you are able to recycle it for a period of 3 to 4 years. And during that period, you enter into issues of loss of viability, vigor. So in terms of yields, you start having lower yields. And maybe even in terms of the strength on which the plant can grow reduces. So that's the reason why we do ask the farmers, we do ask the public that once they have recycled their beans or their groundnuts, they can buy a fresh seed, certified seed, after a period of 3 to 4 years. Yeah.
The United States Agency for International Development, USAID, undertakes work in the legume seed sector under the Feed the Future program. They too have noticed the challenge of recycling. Harry Ngoma is a food security specialist at USAID.
Most legumes are what we call self-pollinated. They don't cross with different parents, so it will remain pure, remain the same, even if you recycle it year after year. So for legumes, the issue of recycling is so much of a problem. But of course, over time, because of pressure and selection, you can also lose some of its quality. So for legumes like groundnuts, beans, people can use the same seed maybe 3 to 5 years and then go and get fresh seed afterwards to sort of like maintain your yield.
For the Zambia Seed Traders Association, the practice of seed recycling is worsened by the shortage of basic seed in legumes.
The legumes, the problem is they are more so on a small scale level, many small scale, just get that legumes and plant and recycled and cycled. And this is the area where the commercial big companies, they feel they suffer a blow. Because if they go and grow improved, good quality seed and so forth, then as they put it in the market, the farmers, be it big or small or so, they grow first generation very good. Then they will recycle and recycle.
This view is strongly shared by the Agriculture Productivity Program for Southern Africa, APSA, a World Bank-funded project supporting 3 countries in Central Africa. In Zambia, APSA is supporting the setting up of a regional center of excellence which will focus on legume seed systems.
One shortcoming is that the basic seed is not readily available for improved full legume varieties. But this time around, within ZARI, we have established a seed unit. Seed unit is essentially supposed to make available improved varieties of full legumes by way of making provision of a basic seed or foundation seed, which can now in turn be used to make certified seed which farmers can grow in their fields.
The frustration of seed companies is understood by experts.
Any crop, if it doesn't have a non-predictable market, it will suffer. Even maize, if there wasn't a real clear market for maize in terms of how the government supports, you will see that even the maize would not be what it is.
The seed companies are saying we can only produce more if there is an increased uptake amongst the farmers.
One of the few seed companies with large investments in legumes is Good Nature Agro, a company operating in eastern province of Zambia. The firm was set up with the support of the USAID and currently supports about 5,000 small-scale farmers in the region. The company has noticed an increase in demand for legume seed in the area.
To tackle the issue of recycling of a legume seed as Good Nature, we came in to help the farmers, access the improved varieties. How do we do that? We've partnered with researchers and breeders so that we can get the seed from the researchers to the farm.
One of the most common food legumes on the Zambian market is beans. The commodity is grown in several varieties, but it has been seen that consumers prefer a few. It is interesting to note that most locally produced legumes have traditional names, and kablangeti tops the list. The high demand for kablangeti and other common beans has not gone unnoticed. Researchers are aware that kablangeti is more sought after than any other bean type. Unfortunately, this most sought after commodity has deficiencies.
Now, the challenge that we have with the kablangeti, is the current kablangeti that we have, is that it's a landrace. So in short, it's a variety that has never received any breeding intervention to improve its productivity. It doesn't have very good genetics, therefore it doesn't have very good potential to give you the yield. Even if you had to give it all the goodies, you take care of it very well, you babysit it, it's not going to give you that much yield.
Also, the other problem that we have is that Kablangate doesn't just have good genetics for tolerance to things like drought and also heat stress. You realize that with all this, climate change that what we are having, we are going to have more frequent droughts and also, higher temperatures. And you find that the variety itself doesn't do very well under those conditions.
Works have commenced to try and multiply the yields of Kablangate, whose productivity is affected by some preceding factors. To manage this process effectively, the Institute has set up a seed unit at Mount Makulu Research Station, in addition to the Msekera Research Station in the Eastern Province.
This is coming from the background that ZARI has produced a lot of varieties, and these varieties are not readily available and accessible to the public, who are the farmers. And the seed unit was established by ZARI to coordinate the production of basic seed, and as well as to promote the varieties that ZARI has released to the public.
The bean breeding programs seeking to improve yields for farmers growing beans and other legumes extend to the University of Zambia School of Agriculture Science. Dr. Kelvin Kamfwa is the breeder at the university's Department of Plant Science. He took us through work being done at the country's oldest high learning institution. New technology is being used to quicken the process to assist in the research.
We are using marker-assisted breeding, which is essentially DNA technology, which we have adapted in the program, to try and help us speed up or accelerate that process of developing bean varieties.
These greenhouses harbour research material at the university ground. Significant progress is said to have been made in the program, with new varieties soon to be released.
Our estimates are that in the next about 2 years, we're going to be releasing varieties. That's the Kablangate seed type, the yellow types, which all these farmers love, to the farmers in the next 2 years.
Zambia is being aided by cooperating partners to hastily deliver new seed varieties.
We invested a lot. We, at the end of the program, basically we ended up with 5 new varieties of groundnuts, 2 new varieties of soybeans, and 2 new varieties of cowpeas, including pigeon pea in the last 2 years.
We have down the line through APSA have managed to release 6 varieties of full legume.
In the Eastern Province, ZARI at the Msekera Research Station is carrying out research supporting food legumes in the area. The research is targeting to develop improved varieties dealing with drought and disease. So far, this has been done on groundnuts.
Yeah, so what you see here is the process of developing the new varieties of groundnuts. What we have here, we have what we call the 3 categories of research, where we are looking at the varieties that are tolerant to drought. We're also looking at the varieties that are tolerant to the rosette virus and leaf spot.
Progress has also been made in other crops such as pigeon pea. In order to appreciate the value of legumes, John Daka, a farmer within the Eastern Province, went out of his way to conduct an experiment in his field.
In fact, after I'd planted this maize, I started with this maize. Okay. And, after following up with there was a cotton, it was a cotton field last year. Okay. Then I planted it on 27th December. Okay. On 28th, 29th, I came to plant here. I ripped, it was a ripping. This field, there was cowpeas. Okay. There are 17 lines by 120 meters. Okay. Now, there's a very big difference that I can see that I haven't applied any fertilizer here, but I've applied fertilizer here. I still have, there's a very big difference, and I've proved that where there was cowpeas, you can do better.
To support farmers like John, Good Nature Agro is working with researchers within the province to help farmers learn techniques on seed multiplication.
In this campaign, we are training farmers in seed production, and we are training our farmers in legume production. So we have 4 types of leguminous seeds like soybean, cowpea, groundnuts, and pigeon pea.
The concept of seed multiplication is already approved.
Much of the seed that is on the good market is not being bought. Quality declared seed is seed that government fortunately has supported through the Seed Control and Certification Institute. They normally do some inspection once in a while, but having trained in seed inspectors almost in every district, especially the crop husband officers of these districts are also seed inspectors. Those are the ones that are helping the small-scale farmers.
Improved varieties are also expected to deal with the problem of post-harvest losses.
Farmers tend to shell nuts, by opening the pods by hand, and because the shells are hard, they tend to sprinkle water. And once you add that water, it allows the fungus to multiply quickly. So one of the methods that we have introduced is mechanical shelling, using handheld propelled machines to shell the nuts. And that ensures that you reduce the levels of aflatoxins. We have also come up, working hand in hand with the Zambia Agriculture Research Institute, come up with a product which farmers can apply in the field to sort of outcompete this poison in the field, because contamination starts right in the field as the crop is growing. So this product is called Aflasef. It's been developed with this Feed the Future support, and is currently being registered by ZEMA for potential use by farmers in the future.
The need for farmers to be well informed and the need to use improved varieties is the collective concept shared by all linked to this sector. The efforts of NOAA in the heart of Mtendere Township are seen to benefit the sector in more ways than one. With his simple technology, NOAA is seen to be doing what is desired in the sector, adding value to raw produce.
When we talk about the IP, we need to talk about what value do we need to add to the products that are produced by farmers. We already have a fully fledged developed IP for groundnuts, because farmers are linked to the market through the peanut production of groundnuts, and this is being done through COMACO, perhaps in Eastern Province. I'm sure that way farmers are realizing the benefit of growing these legumes.
The Community Markets for Conservation, COMACO, has an upscaled version of NOAA's concept, producing high-value products through the processing of groundnuts and soybean. The products are also being exported. COMACO supports thousands of smallholder farmers in the Eastern Province.
We are supporting close to 200,000 farmers across Eastern Province, and much, I think, 1/3 of that in Muchinga Province, and some in Central Province, which is Serenge. I think much of our support in terms of enhancing the productivity of these farmers is to see how we can provide incentives for them to become much more productive, because we understand that farmers would not just want to produce something without looking at the benefit that will be derived from what they are doing.
A visit at the warehouse in Lusaka reflects simple packaging techniques offering employment and an extra notch of value to the primary products within their reach.
We do the offtake of what farmers produce. Once we do the offtake, the key for us is to add value, which is very premium, because we understand or we know that these crops are produced through organic methods.
The works being done by this community organization drew not only attention but funding from the American people.
Our support to COMACO, Community Markets for Conservation, in the Eastern Province, we supported them with the peanut butter processing, which has done a lot of value addition. They are also processing soybean into feed for animals. So that's quite a lot of value addition and creating markets for farmers. This has worked very well as well.
How people consume legumes for food at household level has some recommendations.
People eat beans the same way boil it, put tomato and onion. But there's a lot of other things that you could do with the beans. And we think that if we could promote the different ways of consuming beans, that could also then bring about a lot of value addition. For instance, if you need bean flour, it means that someone has to be able to harvest the beans, process them, and grind them into a flour. That is a value chain that we could promote.
There is a call for policy adjustments factoring industrialization in legumes.
How the government policy, how other key players in the agriculture sector can focus on other products in terms of promoting their value addition requirements. Zambians, we are importing a lot of expensive commodities outside the country, in which legumes are one of the key elements in what is being brought in. So why can't we take that initiative and try to become more industrialized here locally?
Zambia is seen to have potential to contribute to the growth of the legume seed sector. From the APSA perspective, demand will not only be regional but global.
The future of food legumes in Zambia and in the region is very broad. We see ourselves broadening the market, not only in the region but also, I think, at the global level. Because I'm sure only if we tackle issues of quality, and quality comes about when we use improved varieties.
A well-defined and supported value chain is expected to impact the Zambian legume seed sector positively, with benefits trickling to other sectors. Recommendations towards achieving the diversification drive prod the need to give attention to silent players like the legume seed sector, whose benefits are far-reaching. Well, that wraps up today's presentation of News in Depth, where we've been looking at seed recycling as well as opportunities for economic development in the legume seed sector. We do hope that the program was informative. Next week on News in Depth, Macpherson Mukuka will be looking at the new examination progression mode. Well, make a date with us for that interesting topic. For now, this is where we wrap up. Goodbye and stay blessed.